Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Leon. In this video, I'm going to be going over how to loop through all of the worksheets in a workbook in Excel VBA. In this example here, I'm going to be pulling the value and cell A1 from each one of these 6 sheets, and I'm going to be adding them to column A in the combined sheet. I'm going to also be adding in the sheet name itself into column B, and I'm going to stack them into a single table. This is the code that you need to actually set it up, and the middle part here is what you would run after you've created your loop. So this part here is actually the middle portion of it, or the meat of the code, but the parts outside are going to be the method itself. So first thing that you need to do is you need to set a parameter for your worksheet. I just call it current. So I do dim current as worksheet, and current is going to be the name of the worksheet placeholder or the parameter. And then from there, you're going to need a total of 3 additional lines. The first is going to be your loop. It's going to be a for each loop. So it's going to be for each current and worksheets, and it's going to be next current. And remember, current is the parameter that we set as the worksheet. So it's going to read literally as for each worksheet and worksheets, and then go to our next worksheet after we've went ahead and ran our code, which is the meat in the middle here. And one important step is that you need to make sure that you select the current worksheet after you've hit next. So you'll see here that I have a current, and I'm selecting a current. It's no different than saying sheets.sheet1.select. It's pretty much the same thing. The only difference is that instead of it being the sheet itself, it would be whatever sheet the loop is currently on. So it's just basically an easier way, or a way to select the sheet without having to specify the name of it. So this will work with any process that has multiple sheets. One sheet doesn't matter. As long as there's one sheet, it'll work for. And then from there, I've created a, and I've kind of gone back and forth with this. I had 2 methods at first, but I just went ahead and picked one because one is a little bit easier to deal with than the other one. The second method was going to specify a cell to start in at the bottom. So basically, it was going to pick a cell at row 100,000 or even 1,000,000. But unfortunately, if you put the wrong number in there, so you put row 10 or row 12, whatever anything's after that, you're going to override data. So I just went ahead and decided against that, since you're going to have to specify that particular row and cell and column number, or the cell itself. It just creates a can of worms. And it's just easier to just add in an extra if statement. So it's a very simple if statement. So, and I'll explain it to you real quick. So the if statement is basically saying that if there's nothing in the second row, which is there's no first value, which means that there's not a value in A2 or B2. It just puts the first time it runs it puts that value in A2 or B2. And if it's not null, or if it's not blank, it'll basically start at A or A1 or B1. It'll go down, it'll offset it a 1. So it'll basically start at the column heading. It'll do a controlling down, and then from there it'll just do an offset. So it'll pick a new row, and then from there it'll just go ahead and paste it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you it doing that, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So it'll basically do the if statement for both of those values. So I'm going to press function 8 or F8, and you'll see that it'll run everything. And as I said before, this has to be here. You have to make sure that you have the first sheet selected. That has to be there, because otherwise it's not going to work correctly. It's going to basically keep selecting the same value over and over again. So from here, I'm going to go to, it's going to say Current.Select, and I'll show you real quick how this looks. I'm going to do I'm going to pull something in the immediate window, and I'm going to just show you. So you see that in the immediate window, it has it as sheet 1. So current is sheet 1, although it's not showing it up. It's not showing it because it's a worksheet itself. If it was a string, it would show up when I hover over it. But since it's a worksheet, it won't actually show it. But when I do the immediate window and I do a dot name, it actually will show me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another current dot name after it loops to the second one, and you'll see. And also too, you'll actually see it do it. So I'm gonna step through it again. You'll see that once it runs Current.Select, it'll go and select sheet 1. So from here, and I have another piece of code that actually skips the combination on the sheet that is combined. This is also necessary if you're using one sheet to kind of combine everything. You're basically going to skip that particular sheet and move on. So you see here that it basically says if the current sheet name is set as a combined sheet, then it will go to this this particular heading is called Nexter. So it would basically skip the code and go to Nexter and then go to the current sheet. And by the way, I just want to clarify this. I do have a constant setup here. Just to tell you something, constants are very, very helpful if you're running the same code over and over again. The reason why it's helpful is because you can have a placeholder for a sheet or a value, and you can change it one time and it'll reference that particular value moving forward. If I were to just change it from combined sheet to the actual sheet name itself of combined, I would have to change it every single time, and that can cause issues. But if you have just a constant at the top, you change it one time and it'll change it across all the other ones. So again, I'm going to just go ahead and skip that. And you see here that what happens is that it says if that combined sheet and if the value in B2 is null, it'll just put that value in B2. And it'll do the same thing for A2 as well. You see as I step through it, it's going to go again. And you see here that in my immediate window, when I go and I hit the current dot name, now it's sheet 2. So you'll see that it's actually looping through it as it should be doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep stepping through it. And what I want to show you is that now, since that value is not null, it's gonna skip that. It's gonna go to else, and now it's gonna put it in B1. It's gonna go to the end. So it's gonna go basically. It's gonna stop at B2. It's going to go down and going to do an offset of 1. And just to be clear, offset is where the first number in offset is the row number. The second number is the column number. So it's going to basically go into B2, and it's going to offset it as a 1, a single row. And then it's going to put the actual name of the sheet itself and row like B3. So it's going to basically just wherever it stops at, wherever that table stops, it's going to just add a row at the blank column. And again, it's just for clarity. It just makes it easier to kind of see everything. And you'll see here that it actually ran it the same way this time. So it skipped it. It skipped the if statement, and then it just basically it did the same thing for the value itself. And when I go ahead and I finish it, you'll see that at the end on my combined sheet that it put the sheet values in column A and then the sheet name itself in column B. And if I run it again, it's going to do the same thing. So it's going to just keep running it over and over again. Now, the only flaw with this is that if you just so happen to have over a million rows, and I mean, it's possible if you're stacking like a lot of different worksheets. I may make a video at some point where I'll be stacking across multiple worksheets where it'll loop to the end. It'll close it out and it'll just keep looping over and over and over and over again. And it's possible, but that's a lot of information, and you probably want to use a different program for that. You probably want to put that into a SQL or Access where it can handle all that information. But pretty much most people are not going to be dealing with a million rows. So that's pretty much foolproof in my opinion as far as the stacking. But hopefully you found this video helpful. Again, just to recap, it's just a for each loop. I set my worksheet as current, and it says for each current and worksheets, there has to be a next, and it's going to put the next worksheet, or it's going to select the next worksheet. The Current.Select has to be there, and I keep saying that because I've dealt with that before. I was wondering why it wasn't working, why it kept putting the same value there. You have to specify Current.Select, because what that's going to do is that it's going to select the worksheet that is within the next worksheet within the actual collection of worksheets. So you got to make sure that that's actually there. And again, the immediate window will tell you as the code is running which sheet it's on. And then of course within this apostrophe, this is the meat of the code. So this is the code that you would actually run. And then again, I just had it to where there's a combined sheet. I want to ignore the combined sheet and I want to move on to the rest of the code. And then from here, I'm going to basically just say that if B2, if the first row, if the first value, which would normally be in the second row of the table, if that is blank, I'm going to put it in that particular row. If not, then I want to go down to the bottom of the table and then just go to the newest fresh row and then add it there. So that's all this is saying. This is all this these if statements are saying. So hopefully you found the video helpful. If you did, leave a like and a comment. I'm definitely open to feedback. Hopefully I can make some more videos. This is a new channel, so I'm going to definitely be adding more content, but I'm open to suggestions. If you want me to go over anything in particular, or even provide some advice, or just pretty much anything related to Excel VBA, Access VBA, I definitely can do some research and try to make some more content. I'm going to put the example that I'm using here in the description box as a download. You'll be able to download that file and you'll be able to look at the code and see how everything works, and you're free to use it. There's no code that really belongs to anybody, so you're free to use it. Just hopefully you found it helpful. You have a blessed day and you take care.